Blindspot Season 2, Episode 16, Evil Did I Dwell, Lewd I Did Live. Now, this was not the type of episode I was expecting coming back from our break. We have Borden actually dying in this one, which I really wasn't expecting. We find out that, at least, within the episode, it's found out and dealt with, but Patterson had a bug inside of her tooth that she has to get taken care of. Cade is actually a good guy, which is insane. And at the end of the episode, we have Zapata actually going to Weller to talk about Reed. And then right after that, we have Jane actually being kidnapped when she goes to visit, I guess her boyfriend, for dinner. So there's a lot of stuff that happened in this that I certainly wasn't expecting. I enjoyed all of it, and I am very curious to see how things play out for Reed's character, because I was freaking out. I was like, he's going to get busted, and that's how this is going to conclude. There's no good way out of that. But of course, he dodges a bullet, so he's fine in that regard. But he doesn't end up telling Weller, and Zapata tells him, like, either you do it or I'll tell Weller for you, because, I'm your best friend and I actually care about you, so I have to. So that's what she does at the end, because he doesn't end up talking to Weller on that day. So he leaves, and she's like, well, I have to do it in order to protect him. And, that's just, for next week's episode. There's already a million things in this one that were really good. So we find out that, of course, fortunately, Nas ends up surviving, because that was the big thing with the way they ended. So she ends up surviving. She beats the guy up that was inside of her truck, in a pretty cool fashion, by the way. After she, leaned the chair back, she basically, ran up the actual car to, kind of do a backflip. So I thought that was really cool, and she just used, the pressure of her feet against the ceiling to kind of backflip and get into the backseat and fight this guy. So that was really cool. And then, of course, with her having this intel, she gets another call, and the team has to set everything up, because it's like, all right, well, we don't know who this person is. They may have betrayed you. It might not even be your contact. They might be dead, and it could just be Sandstorm, and they got the information from them. So, of course, they go through the motions, and then they get to chasing the actual person. And, of course, it ends up being Jane finding the person, and it ends up being Cade. So that was a nice little twist. And then we find out that he's actually been a good guy this whole time. And, of course, his hatred towards Jane, it was kind of like, sorry, who gives a crap if it's not good for you guys. I was getting rid of her because not only was she kind of on the inside track, being kind of the mole within the FBI, but also it does help with revenge, because, the man that he loved was actually killed. So he was able to, or at least attempt to try to work things out. He lost Marco, so he was trying to get some revenge on, Jane, and that didn't end up playing out as planned, but ultimately, I guess it worked out pretty well for Cade. I mean, he still ends up losing someone that he can't change, but in this episode, he helps the team out, and although they had something good going, it sucks that they, caught 5 different people and all of them died, because they captured the 4, the military dudes who were all suited up, and the one guy just kills the other 3, and then he kills himself, and then we have Patterson going after Borden, and it was like, okay, she's able to get him, and she shoots him, and she takes him down. It's like, he has nothing that he can do. He actually gives up. He doesn't try to shoot her and force her to kill him. And I was like, okay, they'll actually have something. They actually have a lead here. And then so he puts the gun down. I'm like, cool, she got him. And then he lifts his other hand up, and he's got a grenade, so she has to take off, and he ends up blowing himself to pieces. And I was like, well, crap. They went through all this stuff. They set up a good plan and everything, and it all fell apart, and all those people died. So once again, they don't have any leads. They did do a good job as far as getting rid of Borden, technically, because they do, even though the team doesn't know this, they do reference in the episode that Borden and his people have to take care of it themselves, because for whatever reason, Shepard is out in the middle of the ocean doing something. So I was like, all right, that's very interesting, and I'm sure that has a lot to do with Phase 2. Everything they're doing right now is Phase 2 related. So I was like, all right, that's pretty cool that, she's out in the middle of the ocean. There's something important to that, and that's why, there was kind of no need to tell her, because she wouldn't have been able to help them out anyway. But that was really cool. Very surprising that none of them ended up surviving. They have these 5 leads, and all of them end up dying in some way, shape, or form. 3 murders, 2 suicides, so it's just like, man, they got nothing. And then, of course, Cade is like, hey, I didn't really go after Sandstorm for my country. I did it for myself and for revenge and for my family. So he takes off. He's gone. I don't know if we'll see him again. I feel like we might, just because he was so wrapped up in everything that happened, and I'm sure Sandstorm won't give up on him. So I feel like at some point we will see him make a return, even though he has a bunch of money and he's going to try to take off. Obviously, we know Sandstorm is international, so it's not something where it's like he can just leave and there's nothing to it. They have all these insane resources. Obviously, the tattoos show how deep their resources go. It's a really easy way to just bring Cade back in and say, look, they found me. You guys are the only ones that can protect me. I'll join your team and help you take them down, but I need you to, stop the people that are coming after me right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him make a return. Maybe not this season, but in the next season, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him come back. But it was really good. I like the way everything played out. Like I said, I'm looking forward to what they do with Reed and how his relationship is going to change with the team. The reveal that Patterson actually had a bug like inside of her tooth was really good. And she realizes like her passing out and stuff like that, and just the crazy headaches and things. I was like, wow. And I figured it like before she went into the room. I was like, crap, they put a bug on her. I didn't think it was like in her tooth. I just assumed it was in her head because of the crazy headaches. I figured it had to like actually be in her head, but it was still really good. I was like, that's so smart, and that makes sense because they talked about early in the episode. This could be unrelated, but I feel like it might actually be Sandstorm. But there was a scene when Reed went to talk with Patterson, and he was like, "You have anything to do with me, being drug tested? Like the timing just seems like a coincidence." And it might have been a coincidence because, of course, Sandstorm has crazy connections. There might have been some, sort of chain of command sort of thing where they have some way to manipulate that and be like, okay, choose this person and this person for the random drug screening. And maybe this was their plan all along. Maybe they knew that it wouldn't play out, and this was kind of the way that they had it all set up because they know how close Reed and Zapata are, and they knew that if they manipulated the outcome and they said, oh yeah, he dodged a bullet or whatever, they knew that it would lead to a bit of a fraction within the team. So it's rather than having him just be a drug user and he gets fired and it's simple and it sucks, fracture the team where they're still together but not at 100%. So that could actually have been their plan this whole time. That could have been on purpose. That could have actually been Sandstorm, because when they mentioned that she had a bug and it was like, oh, they've been listening this whole time, and that's how they of course knew about the plan after Cade told them. I was like, you know what? Maybe Reed getting screened for a random drug test wasn't just a coincidence. The timing wasn't just really crazy and random. It really was Sandstorm doing that, and that's just what I thought. Like when they mentioned the bug thing, I was like, they do have resources like that. I wouldn't be surprised if this was just just another plan for them to have. Like, all right, we can still have Weller and still keep him alive, and of course we don't learn anything about that. It's driving me nuts, but we can still have Weller alive, but let's just make his team a little less functional. We keep Weller alive, we can kill off the rest of the people because they don't really matter to us, and this might have been their way to do that. Just a simple little drug test, and they knew just mentally how it would play out, especially hearing the conversation with, they don't even need the conversation really between Reed and Zapata, just Reed and Patterson. It's like, okay, he's clearly, distant and stuff like that, so we'll have him and his best friend go through the drug test together. There's probably a way, of course, if you feel like you might get busted, then odds are you're going to have some telltale signs, just like he did in this episode. So it makes me wonder if that's going to end up being the case, or it really is a coincidence. But as soon as they mentioned the bug thing, I was like, the timing is a bit convenient, isn't it? So I don't know, maybe that was Sandstorm doing that and they knew, or heck, maybe them saying that the test was negative was them just to keep things together a little bit better. So who knows? It can work either way, where like their whole plan was to have him drugged from the beginning, or have him tested from the beginning to fracture the team, or they didn't know that it was Zapata and they just found out like, oh crap, if he gets busted, this will ruin our plans. So let's just keep things clean for him and save the team from fracturing. But they don't know about him and Zapata talking. So I just feel like that's a possibility, just a theory on my side of things. I was like, And as soon as they said, the bug and how they knew everything that was happening, I was like, that would make a lot of sense. The very convenient timing for him going through the random drug test. It's just super convenient. So I don't know. Could be the case, but it's this type of show. I wouldn't be surprised if they revealed that that was just an extra plan to either split the team up, or they found out that his test was positive, so they were like, well, let's change that to negative to keep everything normal, so that nothing would change for Weller, and that would kind of keep their plans in line. But thought it was cool. It could just be a theory. It could easily be nothing, and I'm just making all this crap up. But I think it would be really cool if it was an actual connection, and Sandstorm did have something to do with that because they wanted to like fracture the team or something like that. But I thought that was really cool that that may or may not be tied together. And of course, I thought it was great that whether it's Sandstorm or not, Reed dodged a serious bullet in this one, so I thought that was good. Things are getting, things got like, for half a second, they got a bit more intense between Roman and Jane because of the part where Cade's like, oh, you were able to have your brother in the cage after all, and then they go to that flashback, and I couldn't tell if that was Jane having the flashback or if that was Roman, so it was kind of hard to say. But that line in general was Cade saying like, oh, you know, like you're able to control him after all, that sort of thing. And it's just getting closer and closer. I was curious like what was going to happen as far as him remembering certain things, because we know it's building up to it. At some point he's going to remember that it was Jane that did it and not Shepard. So I don't know how long we're going to have to wait for that. Maybe, you know, season finale of the episode just before the season finale, and then everything goes nuts, you know, in the end. But you know, they kind of touched a little bit on the tension, just like a tiny little taste of tension between the two of them. Like things are starting to build up where he learns, you know, even though it's not Jane now, Jane in the past wasn't exactly so great to him as a sister, and while she may have protected him, she also kind of controlled him a lot against his will. So who knows? We'll just see what happens there. But I like that they kind of touched on that a little. Like here's just a little snippet for them. It's not a big deal now, but it's going to be something in the future. So I was glad to see that. Like I said, the mission in general, finding out that Cade was actually a good guy the whole time, that was pretty nuts. And just all that stuff working out together, I thought combined for a really, really good episode. Definitely looking forward to the next episode where Jane just ends up being kidnapped. I would assume it's Sandstorm, but based on the promo, they made it seem like it was just some random group that just seemed to kidnap them and this other family. Because I'm like, well, why would they kill, you know, why would they kill Jane if that was the whole reason they sent her there? Like, the whole point of Jane being with the FBI is for them to learn the stuff about the tattoos. And that won't lead them any closer to finding Sandstorm. That just helps Sandstorm do what they want. So I feel like this can't be Sandstorm that came in and, you know, drugged these people. I highly doubt it has anything to do with her boyfriend and, you know, the fact that recently it came up that he changed his name in the past. That would be interesting if that's why he changed his name and it was actually, maybe he's part of some criminal family or just he got involved in some crazy stuff. Who knows? But I'm like, I feel like this can't be Sandstorm. It doesn't make sense to, you know, kidnap her and be like, all right, if you save her, this family dies and that sort of thing, because the whole point of sending Jane in there, even if she's betrayed Sandstorm now, they still know that, you know, they still have the tattoos, and that was kind of the point initially. Although they're worried a bit more now about the memories and all that stuff, so things could change, but I just don't feel like this would be Sandstorm. Like, you know, it just seems out of character for them to wait all this time to, you know, do a big attack. Like, why wait until now? So I feel like it can't be Sandstorm. Could be wrong, but that's just my guess on it. But I'm looking forward either way to what we're going to get next week. Of course, I do want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts were. And I definitely want to know how you guys felt about the way the mission ended. I mean, they had a great lead, and it just didn't pan out. All 5 of those leads are gone now, including one that was, you know, just a big impact on Patterson. And even she says to Jane, like, I feel nothing, but it's just like this weird thing with her now. Like, she knows that he's gone. Like, this man that seemingly loved her and then betrayed her and the rest of their friends. That's a big deal. Even though she says she feels nothing, that's something. That's just, you know, that's something. So I would love to know how you guys feel about the way it ended, where they could have had something great and then they lost it all in the mission. Do you like that idea? Do you not like that idea? I think either way it would have been great, because of course I'm sure he would have been able to sustain all sorts of torture for a long time. So it would have been the same sort of thing. They could easily have held it off for the same amount of episodes, but I would have liked it if they actually caught him and Patterson was able to have a little bit more with him and maybe really get some form of revenge, and, you know, be able to trick him into giving up something about Sandstorm or anything like that. I kind of would have liked that, because I felt the way it ended, because, you know, Jane talked to her, with what Jane was able to do, I felt it was much more impactful than with Patterson, where it was like, I thought I had him, and then he ended himself, and it's just kind of left wide open a little bit. Like, there was no actual finality to that. It was just he ended it. I guess in a sense there definitely was finality, but he ended it, and she was kind of just left thinking that she had what she wanted, and then it was taken away from her by him again. So I feel like it was very different in Patterson's situation, so I kind of wish that she had it a little bit better, and maybe that's why I kind of wish they had more. It's just a typical thing where it's like, she's good and he was bad, and I wish that she had things easier for her, so maybe that's why I wish that, but I would love to know how you guys felt about the way the mission went, and of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.